Welcome on a live safari here at Djuma Private Game Reserve in South Africa. I'm Brent. William's on camera with me this morning, and Alex is an FC, and Brian and Mark are on the second vehicle. I hope you guys had a good night's sleep if you were in the States, and are fresh for game drive this morning, and for everyone else in the world. I'm not sure what time, where everyone is, but welcome on drive. So this morning, what was that? No. This morning, Viam and I are going to go look, hopefully, for some lion tracks. We haven't had lions on the property, wow, probably going on a week now. We had those tracks of the Matimba males, but they crossed straight through. We heard some lions calling during the night, but very far away. I'm just hoping that they're on our eastern boundary. Other than that, I hope everyone enjoys the drive, and let's go see what we can find. Standing by. Kobe, thanks very much, Liam. Our northern boundary, I'm heading east towards the western boundary. For reasons I like to get out early than everyone else and get onto the road before the other vehicles are getting moving. It's so I get a chance to get the tracks first. The freshest tracks, there's less chance of someone driving over them that way. Gives us a better chance of finding the animals. And also, this period of time around sunrise is when those animals, those cats, are most likely to be moving. Good morning, Nancy from Minnesota. I hope you've had a good evening. Nancy would like to know whether we've got any hummingbirds here. We have things that are similar to hummingbirds, Nancy, called sunbirds, although they're not quite as small. Go ahead. I've done Kari Cutline to Buffelshoek Cutline, and I'm heading east. So they're not quite as small as hummingbirds, but they are nectar feeders, like hummingbirds. My box of tricks. Just stop very quickly. Also gives us a chance to listen in case those lions call again. We're up on top of a crest here, so it's a good spot. We'll get, if they do call, we'll get good audio that we can work out where they are. Let's find some that occur here. There we go. So you can see they're quite similar shapes to hummingbirds, but they're not. They're from a different family, and they're not as small. They're quite a lot more robust. Also, very beautiful colors. Scarlet chested is one we do get here. Unfortunately, this page is, I got a lot from other places. Come on. That's my favorite one, personally. It doesn't occur here. It only occurs in the Miombo forests and in Zambia and southern Tanzania. But it's really, really pretty. Called an Nkiti's sunbird. But there you go, Nancy. I hope that helps. No lions calling. I'm sure some of you are wondering why we seem to find leopards far more often than the lions at the moment. And the main reason for this is the fact that leopards' territories are on average a lot smaller than a lion's territory. Lions are so much bigger, and being a social animal, I think these are old, yeah, not the freshest tracks. There's fresh hyena tracks and old leopard tracks. Lions being a social predator. Oh, morning pig. The warthog just scooted across. There's another one coming. And is there a third? Sneak forward. Also being so much bigger, they require more prey than a leopard. Therefore their home range has got to be bigger, and they've got to be able to access more food sources. So that is why we tend to be able to find the tracks of leopards more often, and able to find the leopards more often because we've got the tracks. From a tracking point of view, lions are much easier to track than leopards. Much bigger feet, much easier to see the track. But they just have that much bigger home range that they spend less time in areas. And that can change. Sometimes they can be quite resident for a short period in an area. dear, this is not looking very fruitful for lion tracks so far. morning, Maggie from Vancouver. Welcome on Drive this morning. Maggie would like to know how we get our water when there's no rain, and do the dams dry up? Well, Maggie, for us ourselves, we get our water from a borehole on the property, so our water is pumped from underground, so we never really worry about running out of water too much. From the dams, some of them might dry up, some of them will stay. When that happens, a lot of animals like elephants become quite important, because they dig those water holes in the river, in the sand riverbeds, and a lot of the animals will utilize those. There will also probably be like 1 or 2 natural seeps that will hold water throughout the dry season, unless it's an incredibly dry season. Oh, we have now reached the eastern boundary with no tracks. Good morning, Lynn from Michigan. Lynn would like to know, how do we tell the difference between old tracks and new tracks? It's quite, if you're used to it, it's quite easy. New tracks, especially after a night like last night that was very, very still, will have a slightly different color to them. They'll be a little bit darker. The edges will be very, very fine and sharp, as opposed to an old track where, with wind and with vehicles driving, dust, those edges become sort of rounded and smooth and not as obvious to see. And also you look at the other animals around, so things like to see if any of your early morning bird species, like doves like to walk on the road, have walked across, or insects like millipedes and arachnids like scorpions, see if there are tracks of those smaller animals going across the top of the other tracks you're following. Lion tracks going the wrong way. Let's just have a look where they go off the road. Didn't see any tracks on Buffalo's Hook, but we are very close to the boundary. It is possible that they are not too far, but this looks like male lion tracks, and these guys can seriously walk. When it gets into them, no, talking too much, not watching the road. I'm gonna go back to that. Boundary and check it a little bit carefully. There has been another car on that Buffalo's Hook road this morning already, and that's sometimes, well, just one of the things we have to deal with. That these big access roads are not only used for game drives, they're also used to transport staff to and from the reserve. So sometimes those tracks get driven over, not intentionally, but just by the fact that it is an access road. thought I would have seen tracks of berry. Yeah, it's nice soft sand. I didn't.
Something go down there.
Sorry? You see something there?
Yeah.
What's that? And they might have cut through. Might be worth checking that fire break just now. Just to make sure they didn't just walk straight over here. Because once we establish that, then we can leave the area and try look for something else. Yeah, I'm just going to have a quick wander around this intersection.
Good morning all. A super sunny Sunday we have today. Sunny Sunday. Fun day Sunday. Welcome to Djuma Game Reserve and welcome to this side of it. Myself, Mark, and Brian on camera with a little superhero Sunday surprise. Wherever you may be on the planet, hope you can enjoy the morning with us. And it's a rather cool morning, lovely blue skies, and of course with blue skies comes a slight chill in the air. A little bit different to the last few mornings that we've had, but really what makes it different also is the fact that we get this beautiful morning light, made a little bit more yellow by the colour of the grasses and the changing colours of the leaves. A little bit early to be changing, but it is what it is. Global weather change, climate change. We'll see what's going to happen over the next few months. It looks like we might be in for a bit of a dry period. Normally our last rains would fall around April, even had rain into May in the past. At this rate, no rain at all. Even if we do have a shower, it's not going to be, no matter how much rain we have now, not going to green things up much. I don't know if you can notice anything on my hat. Actually, how can you not notice? found this wayward child at the light of the carport this morning where we parked the vehicles. If I left it there, the hornbills would have had a feast. So I decided to bring it out and find it a new tree to live on, where it's not likely going to be eaten by hornbills or other things. This is the giant stick insect, some parts of the world called a walking stick. Maybe we can get these little bee eaters now because it's cool and they're not flying around so much because there aren't too many insects. I can see one on the other side of this bush willow. Little bee eaters. No, not this time. Sometimes they come back to the same perch, but not this time. Gone to some dead twigs further on, and there's still a third one. The second one joined it on some other dead stick. There's a third bee eater just here. Hawking insects from a perch. You'll see how that head is constantly moving, scanning for insects. I think my stick insect's a bit big, about 3 times the length of a little bee eater. Yes, very interesting insects, the stick insects. Here's the head. It's pretending to be a stick now. It's gone into sort of its protection mode. The 2 front legs are being held forward with the antenna. But here's the head. I'll just try and hook the claw with my nail. This is where the base of the wings are. The wings start here. You can hardly see the wings running down the body to about here. Those are the wings. I don't want to stress it out by making it open its wings. The temperature's a bit low now for insects to be moving around much. Yeah, you can let go of my thumb now, child. Go. Rather incredible. They have a very intriguing defense mechanism when they are attacked by a bird. They open their wings and they flap their wings very, very hard, making a very loud clicking sound. Somewhere along the line I filmed that way back when I found a hornbill attacking one. Let's see if we can find a decent tree that it can hide in. Herbivorous insects, they are totally harmless. Our African stick insects, we get very small ones, we get some that are so tiny or so fine, they're the same color and the same thickness as the grasses, and they live on the grasses. This is obviously a tree-dwelling individual. Quite remarkable. A very good question from Arkansas. Morning, Ellen. Nice to hear from you. Mentioning that I'm taking this stick insect to a new home. Well, I'm taking it to where it's far away from human habitation, where it's not going to, you see, it's mostly a nocturnal insect. During the day it behaves like a stick, and it hopefully it will fly around, and stick insect won't have a territory. Ellen is asking, do insects and birds and other animals have territories like lions and leopards? And now, stick insect, I don't think so. I know that there are insects that do. There are birds that do. There are a lot of things that do have territories, and then a lot of things that don't. So we'd have to go through individual species to answer that question. Yeah, this bush willow seems like a likely spot to leave it. It's got the same colouring as the bush willow. The lichen colour, the different markings on the bark. Come on. There we go. You can hardly see it now. And that's the point. It will hopefully find a place to secure itself for the rest of the day. Now, the reason why I want to get it away from human habitation is because of the artificial lights that we have, and one of the reasons why it was where it was because of a light. Bye bye, stick. Have a nice life. I'm trying to think, insects that might be territorial. Bees, wasps, ants. Now they're all in the same family, of course, ants, bees and wasps. So it's no surprise that they are likely to have territories, or they own, yeah, I suppose we could call them territories. Birds, a lot of birds do have territories. Not all birds do. Obviously we have a lot of birds that migrate and around a lot. Eagles have interesting territories because there are a lot of eagles that might have, say, a few acres on the ground, but their territory goes like a funnel into the sky, where there might be, if it's a square mile on the ground, it's 10 square miles in the sky at 5,000 feet. Like our fish eagles. Fish eagles' territories can vary depending on the water, depending on the clarity of the water, depending on whether it's a lake or a dam or a river. Reptiles have territories, chameleons have territories, snakes have territories. I'm just using the term loosely, territory. Areas that they live in, that they utilize, that they will compete for. I saw an interesting documentary about rattlesnakes, of all things, how they will move miles and miles to the same caves every winter for hibernation, and then come summertime reclaim the original territories that they had in summer. Drongos have territories. You've seen a drongo? Another little bee-eater. Most of the calls that we hear of birds are actually territorial calls. They are not only calls calling for a mate, but a lot of times you'll find birds sitting in a tree calling, and that will be territorial things, declaring territory. What does it do? Morning, Heather. In Alaska. I think if I ever had to see Alaska, I think now, this time of the year, would probably be the best, when it's turning spring. Maybe turning to spring. How? Rather, Heather wants to know what the stick insect does with all those legs when it's flying. They line up along the body, make it streamlined, like just one long thin fuselage. Any station in TCK? Okay, thanks, Lee. Morning, Raisa. Person from Finland wanting to know if they can fly any distance to stick insects. I'm not really sure. I know that a tracking device was put on a dragonfly to see the distance a dragonfly would fly, and it was found that in a day it covered a distance of about 100 kilometers. Not necessarily in a straight line, but there's a snake. Very interesting. Oh, it's beautiful. It's called a blind snake. I don't know if you can see it yet, Brian. That's known as Schlegel's blind snake. And it's very unusual to be cool temperatures like we have now for it to be above ground. It's what we know as what's known as a fossorial species. It lives under the soil, under the sand really. It's a burrowing individual, and because it's a burrower, it no longer needs eyes. So I just wanted to try and stop it from going off the road too quickly so we could get it on camera. I don't like to disturb them too much. Unusual to have, very unusual. Two unusuals today. Oh. Very nice. What do stick insects eat? As far as I know, vegetation, leaf matter. As far as I know. Tammy? Valerie, the stick insect. Not as long, Valerie. There are some mantids, praying mantids, that can get almost as long, not quite. Valerie wanted to know if there are any other insects as big. Not as long, Valerie, but I guess it can say bigger, bulkier, heavier. I think if you think that it's difficult, or rather it seems impossible that such an awkward insect like that could fly, I'm going to show you something else quickly. Let's get out onto the open plain of Impala Plains and I'll show you an anomaly of note. A beetle that shouldn't be able to fly. Some insects that probably weigh a lot more than a stick insect. The stick insect, being so thin and long, doesn't really have much weight to it. So there are heavier insects, bulkier insects, not as long. There's some grasshoppers, katydids, predatory grasshoppers, praying mantises. Of course, some of the beetles, we get some pretty big beetles. I can show you one or two pretty big beetles. And I mean pretty, very ornate, quite intriguing. Nature is really, really remarkable. And when you think of form and function, it's a kind of a chicken and an egg thing. What came first, the form or the function? You know, the dung beetle, for example, that has the spade-like head, like a shovel, and it has these very well-designed arms to compact the dung, and by doing so, making it into a ball the way that it does. gosh, I think every insect I could show you quite a unique physiology that relates to a very unique and very distinct behavioral or function. Let's have a little bit of sunshine on the dashboard if we can, and then I'll pull out my little box of tricks. Morning everybody, hornbills, doves, and a lapwing or two. Let's see, where is it? Let me show you it while you're looking at hornbills. There's one. Oh, it's really good. This such a beautiful day. One of the largest of the dung beetles, and there's my thumb. Probably about 3 inches long in total, nearly 2 inches wide. Very ornate, but not quite as impressive as, say, this monster. Now, interesting about this one died with its wings out. You can see they, unfortunately things have dried, and they sort of in the process of folding, these wings, concertina, they fold up and they tuck underneath that little wing cover that's barely an inch long. These 3-inch wings that will fold up and get tucked under that wing cover that we call the elytra on a beetle. It's what makes a beetle to a large extent. So this one has its wings all folded up. Now you get a lot of ground beetles that have lost the necessity for flight, and so the elytra have fused along the join, because they're basically 2 wings. You can see the middle line, but you get beetles whose elytra have fused along the middle line and they almost fused to the abdomen, so that things can't get in there and they don't need the wings anymore. So that's what it looks like with the wings folded up. That's what it looks like in the process of folding up the wings. And what else? There's another species of dung beetle. These are all 3 different species. Okay, we're going to go to Brent because he's got something really, really special. And, well, I'm going to put my toys away and we're going to carry on driving. So I'll see you in a bit, everyone.
Morning guys, welcome back. So you can see we've got a martial eagle. It's the largest eagle species we have in this area. Can you hear the squirrels' alarm calling? This looks to be a juvenile. I just wanted to, before we try to get a bit closer, I wanted to make sure everyone got a good view of them. They've got an incredibly large wingspan, around 2 meters if I remember correctly. Incredibly powerful bird. So they are ferocious hunters. We're we're going to try and move forward so we can see more of him. It's definitely a juvenile. Hasn't quite got that black crest yet. And let the engine run for a little bit so he gets used to it, so he doesn't fly away immediately. He should be far enough off the road. If we move slowly, he's not going to take off. Just try and get beyond that branch that is blocking him. So I mean, they eat Stenbok, baby impala, baby nyala, baby baboons, even sub-adult baboons, monkeys. I think we just... how's that? Yeah. Good. That's good. There we go. So that's still a juvenile. The adults will have a completely dark face and head. Actually, another one of their favorite foods is water monitors and rock monitors. Those big lizards, legavines. Oh, this absolutely stunning bird. Huge. There's even been records of them taking. They would take a leopard cub or a lion cub just as easily. In more suburban areas on the edge of the bush, they take domestic dogs and cats, also lambs, baby goats. And you hear that squirrel is really upset about him. Also seen them feeding off snakes. So from a predatory bird point of view, this is the apex predator. So this is the male lion of the eagles. Just a quick update on those lion tracks. Unfortunately, they crossed out of our property, so we're heading on to see what else we can find. And this is when we stumbled across this beautiful bird. Incredibly powerful talons. Bit of preening. I think that the Stenbok and Dyke in this area should be worried if he's around. Death from above. It's got to be quite tough being a small antelope, and you got to worry about the leopards and wild dogs, and then you've still got to worry about a bird like this. I know a lot of you out there like meerkats. This is also one of the meerkat's biggest predators. That squirrel's getting more and more upset. Even though, I mean, they would definitely go for a squirrel, but definitely not one of their preferred prey species. Being so small, it's not much of a meal for a bird that size. morning, Beth, from California. They can get up to about 90 centimeters in length, with a wingspan of just under 2 meters. To give you an idea, his wingspan's probably a little bit longer than I am, and I'm just over 6'3". Okay, so just under 79 inches, so probably 72, 73 inches, the wingspan. And in height, it's 35 inches in height. Thank you, Alex. Alex doing the conversions for me in FC. He knows I'm completely hopeless when it comes to maths and numbers and things like that. One of the reasons he's not sitting sort of out in the open on the top of a branch is sitting on one of those branches like that gives him a bit of cover. Even though the squirrels spotted him, it's still possible that other small animals that he would try eat might not spot him. Franklin is another, Franklin and guinea fowl of the bird species that he would also hunt. And for a lot of those bird species, a martial eagle is far more dangerous than a leopard. There's a road up here. I'm just going to see if we can get a front-on view of them. There we go. Not quite a front on, but side profile. Squirrel's still very upset, telling everyone that there's something dangerous around. Constantly looking around. Morning, Matt from Texas. Matt would like to know whether this eagle can carry off small antelope. Yes, most definitely, Matt. As you mentioned earlier, Stenbok, Duiker, baby impala, baby inyala, baby bushbuck, baboons up to a sort of a sub-adult, monkeys. Small antelope like Stenbok are probably one of its preferred meals. To answer the second part of Matt's question, can they eat a whole Stenbok in a sitting? Most definitely not. They will store it in the tree and then feed on it slowly. Hey guys, we're going to carry on with our looking for tracks. We're going to cross it back to Mark, see what he's got, and I will see you guys a little bit later. Hopefully we find...
Morning everybody. I believe you've been with Brent and a martial eagle. That's quite fantastic. Martial eagle being one of our biggest. Well, I popped out onto our western boundary. Don't get out onto this road very often. It's a main access road into the park, to the Sabi Sands. But being a Sunday, not many people drive this road. There won't be any deliveries. There's a massive elephant bull on our right. We've still got some family of ellies coming through on our left. And unfortunately, where they're crossing over onto a boundary, just across this boundary, we can't get here. We can't get to see them at all or follow them. If they go a little bit further south, only just a little bit, then I can turn off and I can follow them as much as I can, because they're going onto Arethusa. The moment they're on a neighbour of Arethusa, and they might cross over south into Arethusa. Very interesting behaviour of this little girl. She's like me, she's got an itch in her ear, and she's actually been picking tufts of grass and rubbing tufts of grass in her ear. But I want to see this big boy that's behind this tambuti. And hopefully he's going to come out soon enough. Good morning stations. Shlambin Law crossing Triple M into Simbambili, just north of Simbambili Cutline. Here he comes. Not as big as I thought, but he is a lovely big boy. The Tlambin Law crossing Triple M into Simbambili, just north of Simbambili cut line. This is a lovely bull, this. Maybe courting some of the cows, maybe visiting family. You can hear ears flapping further in the bush. As you can see, it's very, very thick. Where he's standing behind him, there's a further few ellies. Rest of this young female's herd. Sorry, I'm sliding off my seat into camera. Hello, man. He's got a swagger. Let me straighten up a bit. Interesting. What got into her? I think she was flirting with this bull. Methinks. He is maybe not even 20 feet away from me and I can't see him. I can see a wrinkle, piece of wrinkled skin. How dense. There is the young marula, the bushwiller, buffalo thorn, bushwiller, buffalo thorn, brazen bush, compact. And we'll see, maybe the little gap. We'll see if he comes out again. Let's see if we can have a better view of an ellie still on our side of the divide. He'll come, he might. Lois, morning to you. How far do the elephant's tusks go into the skull? What's the skull? Let's see if we can't get off the road there. So it's difficult looking into the light like we are. Here's a little one, another one that's just popped out onto the road. Seems to be maybe quite a large herd. Two little ones, quite well spread out. Two little boys going to spar and a big mama coming to see two. Another two children. Here's another family group. Getting a bit rough. The smaller one, tusk's a little bit bigger than the other one. Doesn't seem to have any tusks. A tuskless little ellie. They actually extend quite far into the skull. The tusk sockets go quite deep. Come, bring it out onto the road. Looks like a little girl that's being very bullyish. Found some branches to play with. Little 2-year-old. Morning to Alabama and to Amanda in Alabama. Amanda's asking if I would recognize the elephant that hit the vehicle. She didn't attack me, Amanda. She attacked the vehicle. Oh, she didn't attack it. She hit it. I just moved up a little bit. Would I recognize her? There are a couple of things that I will recognize about her. Hopefully it'll be her behavior, be the first thing I recognize. So cute when a little one realizes it's been left behind. Don't panic, girl, don't panic. I'm not talking about that little one, I'm talking about this young female that came out of the bush rushing at us. Just rushing to reassure its sibling, I guess. But the little one didn't notice. I didn't even see what it was doing. It was feeding. And I didn't notice that the moms and the babies had crossed the road, and as we saw with that bull, 5 feet in off the road, and an elephant disappears. It's quite thick. So came out and, "Mommy, where are you?" Alexa, didn't copy that. That was cute. This is, I think, the little female that we saw when we first arrived. One that was scratching her ear with the grasses. It's picking her head out again. Try to move forward without disturbing her, don't I? Maybe I don't need to. Maybe she's coming forward. Keeping it. Hello, pretty girl. But the leaves changing colour, well, one of the reasons why they, once again, using bark now to scratch in her ear, still going to eat it. But with temperatures dropping and the sun moving back into the northern hemisphere, the trees start moving into their dormant state, and so they start, I suppose withdrawing is not the right word, but they cease to feed the leaves. They cease to push moisture and nutrients into the leaves, and instead store it in the roots. There's still a lot in the bark throughout the dry season, keeping the tree alive. And this is what she's eating now. She's chewing on the bark of the bush willow. And munching the whole branch itself, probably getting moisture out of the branch, and chewing it almost like a chewing gum. Like a chewing all the moisture, leaving the fibre behind. Like sugar cane, that's what I was thinking of, the way we eat sugar cane. I'm going to strip all the side branches maybe, or not. They'll chew up until the side branches start. Break off another one. Try and break it as low as possible before it actually starts branching out. This is recoppicing of the bush willow. They feed very similar. Sorry, you don't like me talking then. Very similar fashion with other species of trees. What's that big one? That big one's got a lot of bark on it. Many years of elephants feeding on that particular tree, constantly taking off all the recoppicing, all the new branches that form. But every time they break a branch, 2 more will grow. So the tree starts bushing out more than becoming a tree. That tall one. Take off all the small ones on the side first. No, just gonna leave it. Well, that was fantastic. And just about it for the ellies. Here's still a cow. Then there's a car coming. Slow, go slow. Oh, there's an elephant that doesn't like cars driving fast. There's still elephant on Juma on our left. Actually, there's another one coming through now. Actually, not even coming through there. They seem to be feeding. They seem to be not doing much other than feeding, staying in the same place. But there was a bit of trumpeting. Nervous youngster, so I'm not going to go forward. I'm sure the ellies that are still on Juma are going to cross the road soon, because the whole herd seems to be moving to the west. Fortunately a little bit southwest, so they might be heading on to Arathusa. Let's go up and down once more. There's still at least, I can see 2 elephants. No, I didn't. Negative. Oh, Charlie, Minnesota. We've seen hundreds. Tarangire National Park in northern Tanzania, near Arusha, one of the main cities, towns. Tarangire National Park has a great population, and the floodplains or marshlands, swamps, Salali swamp fills up with elephants at certain times of the year. Okay, so this big bull has followed a few ellies that have gone through over here. Quite a big herd. So far, the few that I've seen are not from, I don't think they're from the big herd that we saw the other day. I think these are different elephants. Mark, here I go. Yeah, I've got a Shambid law of crossing onto Zimbabwe. Yeah, sure, go for it. More or less where you are now. Yaga. Marco wants to know if I put an apple or fruit on the vehicle, would an elephant attempt to eat it? I don't think they would recognize it, Marco. They do not come across apples and oranges in their lives, so although they might smell it. I just wouldn't do that. Wouldn't do that. Excuse me, I'm just going to talk to somebody quickly. Oh shit. Morning. Good, and you?
Very well, thank you very well.
Big bull and a few females have crossed here. There's still 2 wandering around just in here. And most of them have crossed, but I think they might come out onto the cut line because they are sort of going a little bit sweet.
We'll go yards, so lots of them.
Cool. Have fun. Bye. I didn't see them. It's a difficult question to answer, Marco. I don't think any. I think in some cases where elephant have come into contact with humans and their exotic fruits, they might recognize it. But I think I don't know. It would just be the wrong thing to do. So it would never occur to me to do something like that. You don't feed wild animals. The day you feed a wild animal is the day that you sign its death warrant. Especially a big animal like an elephant. It's like a bear. You don't feed a bear. Because the next thing you know, you've got a bear problem. Alright, looks like we lost all our ellies. I think there's still one in there. Morning, Lev. Lev's in Brooklyn. I think we're going to leave this area. 2 cars coming past is more than I can handle for Sunday morning traffic. Lev is asking if the tusks on youngsters are softer than those of adults. Maybe more brittle, perhaps, but not softer. No, they're still pretty hard tooth enamel. I want to see how long we can last. If we lose signal, I'll come back this way. But look right here, they have come down to the cut line. 2, 3, this is where they are, so we can spend more time with them. Hello, children. Find a spot to see. Find a spot to sit and wait and watch. Just out of reach. Just out of reach. I think I'm allowed here. Oh, there's another one coming. Just out of reach, elephants. Okay, we'll go back. We're going to be a little bit patient, and we're going to wait until they come a little bit closer to us. Might not be. Oh, with regards to that little one that was lagging behind, how long will it take for them to realize the little one was missing? Oh, well, they wouldn't really bother, because it's a case of keep up, children. They would never. The adults wouldn't really bother. They know that it's the responsibility of the younger females, the childminders. That's why that young female came running out of the bush when the little one was trumpeting and having a hissy fit. They're able to speak over distances using their lower rumbles and even lower frequencies. So when they're moving and the children don't catch up, they'll rumble to say that they're moving. They'll tell the herd to move, the matriarch. There'll be a vocalization. And of course what happens is some of the youngsters do wander off and they lag behind, but they often can do so if there is no danger and if there's nothing that's going to trouble them. Then there's no need to be called on. They can hear where the adults are feeding. They maintain a close enough distance that they can hear things, and they can. It's only really when something, let's say like us, it was only because of us really that it panicked more than anything else. Brent, come in. Brent, come in. Yeah, I'm with Shambian Love on Triple M at Simbambili cut line, just a little bit north of that power line coming from Sandy Bay. As yet, not a great view of the ellies, but we're going to be patient. Maybe get to see the little ones again. It's interesting how she's listening to maybe elephant on the other side of the main road. Go back again more. Certainly no rush to go anywhere. Traffic. Backing into a main thoroughfare. Nothing on the boundary. Okay, we'll wait. Mother and child that we have here. Well, there's one coming to the road maybe shortly, just up ahead. I'm not sure if there are any pans or anything nearby. Let me check on that. Long way away. Tammy. Hello, Tammy. Interesting question. I remember somebody asking, could have been Sally in New York asked the same question one time, or even it was Paddy in New Jersey. One of those ladies that have been Ellie fans for a long time. Do elephants, when they're walking in a long line, do they hold the tail of the one in front? Have I ever seen it? I've seen it, but not with all of them. I've seen it where one youngster grabs hold of a tail, but not each one of them. Not like a whole line of each one holding the tail. I think that's in the circus. But they do walk in a single file, and I've got a number of photographs that I can put up that put on Facebook, I suppose. Photographs of elephant walking in a line, and at some point when they do walk in a line, yes, the trunk of one behind goes to the tail of the one in front and grabs hold of it for fun, for play, for whatever reason. Joyce wants to know if an elephant has an upper lip, or is it part of the trunk? It is, actually, Joyce. It is a joint, nose and upper lip. The trunk is formed by both the upper lip and the nose. So the underneath of the trunk becomes the upper lip, essentially. Rather a unique adaptation, rather a unique feature. Well, physiological combination. Let's see what this female is doing. Oh, there's a little one. Hello, baby child. Shall we watch you for a little bit? Her camera time. She's also feeding the same way as that other cow was. She's got some round leaf teak by the looks of things, and feeding on the bark, twisting the branch in her mouth to get the bark off of it, biting the juices out of the bark and the branch itself. Small Sambian Globe, now Triple M, Simbambili Cutline Junction. From bark to grasses in 2 mouthfuls. It's interesting seeing the variety of plants that they eat. When you understand the digestive system of an elephant, where they're not digesting very much of it. Now the herd's catching up. I can see a lot more just on the verge of the road. But it's also, the sun is already getting hot. It's one of those days when it started off very cool, but once the sun has risen, it's got a little bit of a fierceness to it, and it's convenient for them to be feeding in this kind of vegetation with the amount of shade that they've got, especially for the youngsters. A very distinct sound, the sound of elephant flapping their ears, and they can use that sound to intimidate sometimes too, make it louder like a clap, slapping their sides with their ears. Madam Elephant. Morning, Anna. Anna's in New Jersey, wondering if it becomes hard for them to find food when in the dry season, when our winter dry season, when things get very dry and the leaves are gone off the trees. I wouldn't say it gets harder. I would say what happens is that they change their diet somewhat. They learn where the best places are to get better nutrients or better parts of the trees, or they will even maybe feed on some trees that they might not feed on now, because there are far more palatable things to be eating now, rather than maybe some of the more bitter things later on in the year. There's a female with a very small calf across the road, but I don't want to go anywhere now. The whole herd is crossing over, because she's right next to us. She's eating a bit of acacia now. Trying to pull the leaves. I mean, it's hardly a morsel for an elephant stripping a few leaves off of an acacia branch. Use the trunk and the tusk and leverage. As I was mentioning earlier, you have the trees storing a lot of their moisture and nutrients in their roots. You'll find that in the winter and the dry season you'll see elephants digging up root tubers. A lot of the things that are saving that moisture, saving those nutrients, even the grasses, because the grasses get dry but they don't die off completely. Thank you, madam. That's what you think of me, huh? In the summer months when they're eating grasses, they'll pluck the grasses and they'll bite off all of the leaves and let the roots drop off to the ground. And in the winter months you'll find somewhat the opposite when the dry season comes along, because the grass heads themselves become very, very dry, almost unpalatable, becomes very, very rough. But there's nothing in them, there's no nutrients. The zebra can eat them, the zebra just bulk up with it, but the elephant wouldn't really do them any good. So in the dry season you'll find them picking grasses and slapping off all the sand of the roots, slapping the sand off of all the roots, and then eating the roots and letting the leaf heads of the grass fall away. Stripping more barks perhaps because of the moisture and nutrient content of the bark of certain trees. They might, where they can, occupy the riparian habitats a little bit more, the riverine areas where there are greener trees, lusher vegetation. Little one's coming by to see if mom left anything that it can pick up. Somewhat downward pointing tusks for that little thing, like two little fangs. That's very distinct. Already getting a little bit rounded, probably from putting its face in the ground, in the mud. Let's go forward, let's meet up with another mother and child. Oops. Morning, Mum. Morning, little girl. Oops. You're going to have a game there now because you can slide. Maybe about a 4-year-old. Morning, Brenda. Brenda wants to know if elephants ever wander towards the mountains that we see in the west, or if they ever wander into civilized towns. Here, no, Brenda. Here, the other elephant that has broken out of the reserve gets put back into the reserve. They either break the fence and they chase it back in. Occasionally, outside the Timbavati, elephant have broken out, but then they also break back in as soon as they find that they can't really deal with the way humans behave on the outside, with the amount of traffic and noise, I suppose. There are parts of Africa where they do wander into towns. I mean, one of the most famous is up in northern Botswana, the town of Kasane up in northern Botswana on the Chobe River. Often elephants have been in town in Chobe. Seems we have somebody. That I think is who we saw earlier. Going to go forward because we're going to have vehicles just behind us or behind the elephant, which is pretty. Let's see what we can see from this side. This one. If there's anyone else not coming out on the road. Pardon?
I'm checking for traffic.
Nobody, no cars, no elephants. Well, we'll stay with her for now. I didn't know there was a vehicle around the corner, but it's not fair on them, I suppose, for us to just appear behind the elephant if they're photographing the elephant, and then we appear in the background. We'll stay with you, Mom. For now. More coming out of the bush. Speaking of elephants, very, very high up on Kilimanjaro, Mount Kenya. Mount Kenya is a smaller version of Kilimanjaro in a way, although in terms of climbing, it's truly a mountaineer's mountain. Kilimanjaro is a hiker's mountain, and if you can deal with the altitude and the cold, you could probably climb Kili, but you really need to be a mountain climber to tackle Mount Kenya. I think it's something like 17,000 feet has been the highest elephant carcass found on any of these mountains. There's a famous elephant carcass on was it 14,000? I think maybe 14,000. 17,000 sounds a little bit higher. There's a famous elephant carcass on Mount Kenya as well, very, very high up on the mountain in an almost impossible place. For the most part, especially here in South Africa, if there are elephants in a national park or a reserve, then legislation has it that that national park or reserve has to have elephant-proof fencing to stop elephants from getting out and having that elephant-human conflict. And the national parks in South Africa, up until, well, the last few years, was always a very a pretty well-run organization or governmental institution, for want of a better phrase, in that no expenses were spared in protecting the national parks. Now, other parts of Africa where you haven't had that kind of revenue put into national parks, but at least you've got national parks declared, you'll find that there are villages, populations, people around the edges of the park that are constantly in conflict with wildlife, and especially elephants, because the very remoteness of the place means that the government doesn't really care about the villages that are on the periphery of society, and so you find that there's no infrastructure, it's subsistence farming, and you'll find that that's where the greatest conflict lies with local people and elephants raiding their crops. She's getting into some big stuff. Let's see if we can find another one to look at, or if this young lad has moved on. Oops. Still there. Right behind the elephant. So, for the umpteenth time, back to this old girl. Giving us a very broad idea of the feeding habits of elephants. Sorry, ma'am. Morning, Dodie, in Vancouver Island. We can come back. I think she wants to come through here, so she's backing off now. I'm just going to wait for her. Dodie asking, have I heard of the lodge in Africa where elephants walk through the main lodge buildings? Yes, I have. Somewhere in Zambia, if I'm not mistaken. Because the lodge was built on a particular pathway that elephants use seasonally. And the elephants, they built the lodge, the roof, they left the sides open because it's the reception area, it's the way of lodges, I suppose. And there was film and footage of photographs of these elephants that walk through the reception area. Quite a famous lodge now because of it. I've never been there, would love to live there. But I've had my fair share of elephants in camps. I've had many opportunities of living where I've managed camps in other parts of Africa and been lucky enough to witness or have elephants living in camp with us 24 hours a day. I've had to get elephants out of the swimming pool area. I've had to move them away from the kitchen or stop them from upsetting the dining room patrons. Joseph, my friend Joseph. I'm sure he told his elephant friends a good few stories. Where'd she go now? I think we should move on, because, well, a glimpse of a trunk and a glimpse of a tusk. And I think we'll see what else we can find for the rest of the morning. More, yeah. One more there. One or two still. So I'm heading away from these ellies now. We're going to head back into Djuma, and I'm going to see you in a little while. We're going to see what Brent's up to, what he's been doing for the last few minutes, and I'll see you shortly. Don't go anywhere. See you later.
Welcome back, guys. Unfortunately, we haven't really got good fresh tracks to follow this morning, but what we found here is a hammerkorp, and he's busy killing a platana, which is a species of frog. Oh, and there it went, down in one go. So they got quite sharp claws. That's why he was taking his time while attacking it. Very interesting. Very interesting. He might go for another one. So as I was saying, when we were trying to fix Wendy the other night, after drive, I did a test to see where if Wendy got signal everywhere, and I actually drove down this road towards Philemon's Dip, and this was quite full of water a couple of weeks ago, and slowly it's been drying up. And that night I actually saw about 12 of those platana frogs, which are almost one of the few frog species that's almost completely spends 90% of its life in water if it can. Like 12 of them hopping down the road towards Gowrie Dam. Oh, let's see if you can find another one. So hiding in the mud, so he's just checking in the mud where they could be. Oh, feel something there. So a lot of your waders and water birds love when pans are drying up. Oh, there we go. He's got a big one. Now they've got very sharp claws. That's why we'll watch him. He'll peck it quite a lot. Is he going behind the stick? Oh. He'll peck at it a lot before eating it. And that's to ensure it doesn't hurt him on the way down with those sharp claws. So he's trying to make sure that the frog has almost stopped moving before he eats it, just to ensure those claws don't damage its throat. See, leaves it, and then every time it moves, pecks again. You can actually see a little bit of blood on the frog there every now and then. I think it's still moving. Scratch. So it's all the movement of the frog then. Pecking again. Oh, that looks like it's almost time for eating. If you ever pick up those frogs, I mean, those claws are incredibly sharp. And does that look like he's got an injury to his right leg? Maybe. Let me just have a closer look. Swollen at the top there. Let me just take a close-up picture and then I'll have a close look. It does look like it's got some form of injury on that leg. There's quite a large swelling at the top side of the leg, and it does seem to be favouring the left leg, but still seems to use the right leg for scratching and whatnot. If anything, it's an old injury and it's just set in that position. It doesn't look like he's in discomfort. Oh, I think it's nearly time to eat. No, they're still moving, that frog. Incredibly tough amphibian platanas. You can still see a little bit of movement when it puts the frog down and doesn't want to take any chances. The reason it keeps repeatedly is that they actually do have quite a hard skull. So they're not the easiest frog to kill. They're quite robust. Oh, we got a bit of flesh out in that last one. Not convinced he's dead enough. Here we go. I think it's dinner time now. No, not quite. We're just trying to get a better grip on them to eat. Oh, the frog's still moving.
Looks like it's got him in a good position. Yeah, definitely hopping along there. So I think the thing's dead, Mr. Amakop. I can't see any movement. Gone. 2 kills in it in the space of minutes. Clean the mud out of its beak. Have a little drink. They're definitely favouring the left leg. The right leg looks like it's got an old injury. But as you can see, definitely not affecting its hunting prowess. Two big frogs like that, it's quite a nice meal for a hammercorp. Wait a minute or two, see if it starts looking for more. Yeah, probing the mud again. What happens is the frogs are probably trying to hide in that sort of half mud, half water slush. And not the smart ones that moved, but they won't try move during the day, their skin will dry out. So if they do move, they'll have to move at night. Otherwise, unfortunately for them, everything's going to eat them if they stay in here. Unless you're French, frog's legs are delicacy there. And they're eating frogs, not toads. Toads have those bufo glands on the back behind their eyes that release toxins. That if you have a domestic pet that gets hold of a toad, they start foaming at the mouth, and that's from the bufo toxins. I would think birds do have taste buds to a degree, probably not as well developed as ours. If you look at the fruit species, the fruit-eating species, but I'm not actually 100% sure on that. Looks like full belly. Just gonna chill out till we get hungry again and look for another poor stranded platana. Let's carry on, see what else we can see. 2 kills in 1 drive. Woohoo! morning, Mark. What area is Mark working? Copy. Thanks very much. I'm probably going to check access up towards Buffelshoek cut line and just down from Sydney's towards Paul. Okay, copy. Whereabouts? Standing by, yeah. Probably 400 meters from Cheetah Cut Line junction with Buffelshoek. Cut Line, general direction was east. They did, general direction was north. They did cross east into Torchwood, but very close to the Buffelshoek cut line. I think they probably crossed into Buffelshoek. It is going to be another scorcher today. It started off a little bit cool. I was even wearing my jersey this morning, but the temperature has risen so quickly this morning. Thank you, Alice. Alice said apparently some birds, like pigeons, have 63 taste buds, which is not very many, but that would probably mean that quite a few bird species do, or if not most, do have taste buds. It was so great seeing that martial eagle earlier this morning. It's the first one I've seen since I've been at WildEarth. What I'm going to do is I'm going to head up, I'm heading up the access road, and then I'm going to take across Sandy Patch. There's been no more report of those wild dogs. They were seen yesterday to the west of us. They weren't seen again last night or this morning. And that pack does quite often like to move through this area. So I'm going to go have a quick squiz there, see if we can find any tracks. Also, there's always a good chance of general game in that area. We've seen giraffe there a few times, wildebeest, zebra. Old leopard tracks. Those are not old leopard tracks though. Those are fresh leopard tracks. And fresh hyena. Just trying to think. Mark coming. Do you know if they checked Zoe's road this morning? Decisions. It's that big elephant path that cuts straight through there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to carry on for a bit. I'm just waiting to hear whether Mark checked Zoe's road this morning. Okay, copy, thanks. There's fresh tracks of a male leopard coming out on Aubrey's and then onto that big elephant path heading towards Zoe's. So I'm just going to do a quick loop around there. Mark, what's your current position? If you're closer, you're more than welcome. Aubrey's junction with Vuyatela access. They then head south on that large elephant path that heads towards Zoe's. Probably no problem. I'll just do Zoe's quickly. Oh! It is a bit warm now, so it does lessen our chances because they're less likely to be moving. But a leopard track's a leopard track, and you should never leave them unfollowed. Do is we're going to check Zoe's road. If we got nothing on Zoe's road, we're going to go around in Powder Plains, and there's a road that runs under our electricity lines, and I'll check that one next. Jim, didn't we just drive here? Sneaky leopard on top of us. That way. Yeah, let's check this link around quarantine. We'll do another loop down here. So the leopard crossed the road behind us. Let's start looking quite carefully under bushes and on termite mounds. Quite hot now, unlikely that it'll move for too much longer. Good morning, Jack. Jack would like to know if you can tell the age of a leopard by nose color like you can with lions. Well, Jack, as far as I know, that nose color on lions has been disproven recently. Well, actually not that recently, because you can have 10-year-old male lions with pinkish noses. So the same with leopards. You can have noses that are pink when they're very much adult. The best way to age cats is generally by their teeth, and then again you normally have to go at them and measure their teeth, and also just by their sort of body size is probably the best way when they're coming from young male to adult. But it can be quite difficult to age animals that you haven't known for a long time. That's why I'm quite fortunate here, more or less be quite specific with the ages of the lions and leopards, because there's so many vehicles that do them so regularly. But it can be very difficult to age exactly a new animal moving in. Even the best scientists in the world, or lion specialists in the world, can only give you a roundabout figure on the age, but based off teeth, and that's off measurements and things like that from the teeth. Okay, so nothing coming out there. I'm just going to shoot around to the other side quickly. We're checking carefully termite mounds, shady spots, but if the leopard has gone flat cat, it's going to be quite difficult for us to spot because it is quite warm. morning, Rick and Susie. Or should I say aloha from Hawaii. Rick and Susie are wondering what the ratio of wet to dry is in the seasons. Is it sort of 6 and 6 or 3 and 9? Well, the dry season, the wet season normally starts sometime in the first couple of weeks of November. And your big rains are normally done by about now. Sometimes you can have rain into April, but generally sort of November to April. So almost 6-6, but you must remember, for us, the wet season's not like sort of a Central African rainforest wet season where it literally rains every day. We'll often during the wet season go a week, sometimes a week and a half, 2 weeks without rain. Okay, headed down the shortcut road. Standing by. Alright, copy. Those trucks I'm following at the moment came back and have gone on to Gallagher shortcut, but I've been driven over. So I'm just going to check Gallagher shortcut through to Buffalo's Hook. I've been having such a good run, the leopards had to mess with me eventually. Don't worry, I'm still on the case. Trying to think, the last time we actually saw the Nkahuma Pride was on this road. When Scott was with me, so that was a week and a half maybe ago, maybe even a bit more. No, I lie. The second last time we saw them. The last time we saw them was on Buffalo's Hook flat line near Buffalo's Hook Dam, lying right on the edge of the boundary. When Mark had all those swimming elephants at Buffalo's Hook Dam, and we thought the lions were going to come down to Buffalo's Hook Dam because all those buffalo were there. Had some nice birds this morning, even though not that many, but nice sightings of, and unusual sightings like the martial eagle and those hummerkop. Good morning, Kevin from Boston. Kevin would like to know how many species of dogs there are at Djuma. Well, Kevin, Canis, which is the sort of true dog family, there are two. It's a black-backed jackal and a side-striped jackal. Though we haven't seen either, they do occur in this area. And the third, and obviously my favorite, is the African wild dog. So that's 3 species. If you don't count the occasional village dog that comes in, which is a domestic dog. That is one of the biggest threats to a lot of your dog species, is domestic dogs from the villages, because they have diseases like rabies and canine distemper, both of which are very contagious. And in a species like wild dogs that are such a social animal, an outbreak of distemper or rabies can literally annihilate a whole population. Did I get it right or wrong? No, I think we'll be okay. So still. The heat's already setting in. Heat almost feels like it's sitting on your shoulders. Hang on a second, I just want to get a safety for this look.
Good morning, everyone, and good morning, Buffalo. Nice time to cross over to us as we arrive at Treehouse Dam. The arrival of a bunch of buffalo. Let's go over to the other side. There were some interesting birds here the other day when I came past. It wasn't live at the time. It was very quiet. Oh, look, a morning glory. Lone morning glory in the dry sand. Oops. The buffalo come to fly. Must have popped out this morning. Glorious. Let's go see these buffalo. Coming to bays coming to wallow for the day. And flower. Flower for the ladies on a Sunday morning. Pretty purple. Pretty purple. Newcomers coming in. Surprisingly, barely any oxpeckers. One juvenile oxpecker on one buffalo, another oxpecker there, come a couple now. Pay a lot closer attention to the oxpeckers now that I've seen that there are yellow-billed around. Young bull with this crowd. Just 1 second from the left. Very young buffalo. Probably left by a herd that came past and has now joined up with these older bulls safely. Okay, we're gonna have to start moving. We're inundated with fire. Very, very hot day gonna be setting in soon. It's already well into the 30s at the moment. But sitting close to buffalo, it's not very comfortable at the moment with this heat. Because we are in their cloud of flies. Those of you that are still awake, whether it's Sunday morning or Sunday night. Thanks for staying with us. We are going to be doing our fireside chat tonight, just to remind you, after our PM drive. Fireside chat again, being Sunday and all. And unless I find something really interesting, I'm going to hand you back to Brent to say goodbye.
Stop for a sec.
Stop for a sec. Something. Maybe we need better light on.
Yeah, I need a light on the side.
Okay, like that. Or which side?
Yeah, that'll be good. Definitely. See if people can guess who that is. Which villain is this?
Super villain Sunday. Well, anyway, from Brian, Thumb and myself, and of course we'll see you again this afternoon. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for being part of our drive this morning. Love you lots. See you this afternoon. Back to Brent.
For the last few minutes, VM and I have been chasing a bird that I think is possibly a very, very rare bird for this area, and hasn't never been recorded in this area. Not the magpie. We're just trying to see it. It just moved now. It looks like a Eurasian hoopoo. So not the normal African hoopoo. I'm sure it flew in here somewhere. We're just going to keep a close look. If we look at the book, there's the African hoopoo. Let me just take my hat off. There we go. The African hoopoo there. So it's got a much darker color. This is the Eurasian hoopoo. Also, when it flew, it's got these sort of zebra stripes in the wings, whereas the African hoopoo's got sort of much bigger, whiter spots. And it raises its crest quite often. While we've been watching this one, it hasn't raised its crest once. Just need to have a actually quick look at my photos to see if there's that slight pink in the bill. That could be a dead giveaway. But if that is, that's incredibly exciting for this area. Let me just see if I can. Oh, so difficult. It does look like the bill's slightly lighter there. So you're just looking at my camera now, trying to. It does look like it's pinkish. It is. There is a lighter patch which the African doesn't have. Now, unfortunately, with these, I can't just immediately claim that now this is probably one of the first times the species ever been recorded in South Africa. I have to now submit these photos through to the rare bird guys, and then they can argue over it for a while before they decide. But I think I'm pretty confident that it's an Eurasian hoopoo rather than a normal African hoopoo. Just these colorings on the wing are so distinct in comparison, which is really exciting. I mean, it's very seldom like I get to see a new bird species, and especially one like this. I just want to check the flight. I'm trying to get it in flight because that's probably the easiest way to tell, but it's so difficult while trying to drive, move the car. So I want to see if there's white just on the edge of the primaries, because the African, that's from underneath. That's not going to help us. Oh, that's not a very good flying shot, is it? It's just a blur in the sky. Might be here. I just hopped off one branch. Go away, flies.
Oh, I don't know, it's just so difficult. That photo you don't really see, maybe. That's just, oh, this could be very exciting. It definitely has such different markings. So I'm actually going to have to pop that off almost as soon as we get back to sort of the rare birding commission and sightings. I'm confident enough that it might be a new species for the area, so I wouldn't send one in that I was sort of 50% sure on. But anyway, guys, thanks very much for joining us on Drive. Unfortunately, we weren't that lucky with the spotted cats, or the cats in general, and the lions still seem to elude us. But it's been wonderful having you with us, and we look forward to you joining us this afternoon. So from VM, myself, and Alex and FC, it's been a great morning and really exciting. If this is a new species, I will keep you updated on what's going on with that. But have a wonderful day or evening wherever you are in the world, and we will see you in a few hours for the next live safari. Cheers.